Hi, Darren. Thank you for joining me on the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm good, my man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. I'm a big fan of the band, so I appreciate taking the time out to come on.
No worries, man. I like the podcast as well. I've watched a few clips. Yeah, it's been great.
Nice one, thank you. Yeah, you messaged me that actually saying that, and I
Yeah,
appreciate it. So we'll start off with you've got a UK tour next month, and then you've got a show in Glasgow in November. Are you looking forward to these shows?
yeah. Looking forward to both. Glasgow's always. I live in Glasgow now, but we're from a place called Fife. But Glasgow's kind of became like the big hometown show because it's where the music industry is in Scotland. You know what I mean? And obviously, it's like one of the best cities in the UK to play. So that's going to be madness. It's nearly sold out already. I reckon it'll be gone by probably when this podcast comes out. So that's going to be mad. And the UK tour as well, that'll be amazing. Going to a lot of places we've never been before, and I've heard that the tickets are selling well for the places as well, like Norwich and shit. Do you know what I mean? So Hartlepool and all these random places that I've never even heard, they never mind been to. So look forward to it. It's going to be good.
If there's anybody watching that wants to try grab a ticket, where can they get them from?
Just Shambolics music.co.uk. It's got all our live listings on there.
So speaking of Glasgow, actually, it's well known that it's got like one of the best music crowds anywhere, really. So I bet
Yeah.
that makes it extra special as well, doesn't it?
Oh, aye, 100%. Whenever you go to a gig in Glasgow, like any gig, it's usually fucking mental. Do you know what I mean? Have you ever been up this neck of the woods before?
No, never know.
Oh, mate, you need to get to a gig up here. It's wild. Do you know what I mean? It's one of the best cities for music, I think.
Have you got a gig that stands out to you in Glasgow that you've either seen or played?
One that I've seen, I mean, everyone we've played's been pretty fucking good. Do you know what I mean? Probably the one that stands out for me is Stone Roses at Glasgow Green 2013. The lineup was amazing. The support was The View, Jake Bugg, Primal Scream, then Stone Roses. And it was when Stone Roses obviously just got back and it was just a ridiculous gig. The atmosphere was unbelievable.
Yeah, good. Yeah, yeah. So, like when you're touring, do you enjoy touring? I know you'll obviously enjoy the shows, but do you enjoy the touring side as well?
Oh, absolutely love it. I think that's my favourite bit. Do you know what I mean? I love being on tour. Um, Obviously we're not at the level yet where it's luxurious um buses and stuff that we're on. We're still driving the old bangers of vans. So it's funny because we were out the other day there and we were just laughing, saying like, "Oh, I hate driving home. It's fucking shit and everything." And then it's like, as soon as you're back to normality, you're wishing that you were back on the road with the boys. Do you know what I mean? So I absolutely love it. It's class.
Do you think
Minus,
that still makes it special though? That it's still you're only going in a van, you know what I mean? Instead of like these luxurious like coaches
oh,
and stuff.
aye, definitely. I mean, it's definitely better now than when we started out. Like when we started out before we had management and stuff, we had like our own van that we bought and just like used to drive Walrus the wagon it was called, and we used to drive about and we'd stay in like really bad hotels and sometimes just sleep in the van and stuff. So we used to really rough it out. So it's nowhere near as bad as that now. It's like rented vans that are a bit better and better hotels and shit. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but I can't wait till it's a big tour bus.
I just want to talk about your debut album that you released earlier this year. What was it
Yeah.
like recording it and finally getting it out there?
Oh, it was amazing. It was good to we recorded it by a guy called Chris Marshall, who he produced Jerry Cinnamon and a few decent like Scottish acts and stuff. But his main thing is like the big thing he's done is Jerry Cinnamon, and he's like class to work with. We done the full album with him. It was just like I don't know if it's a Scottish thing, but like we all take the piss at each other very bad. Do you know what I mean? So the stuff that was getting said in this studio was just outrageous. You wouldn't think we were in recording an album, but it was a great laugh. I had a great time doing it. So it's good to finally get it out like a year after we recorded it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's one of the best albums of the year. I think I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you, mate.
So it did well as well, didn't it? It got a good reception.
Yeah, it done decent. It like got in the midweek charts and stuff, and I got some chat about. I can't even remember off the top of my head where it landed, but the main thing is people are still into it. I thought I was kind of worried that it would just kind of be like hype for a week and then die down, but it seems that the gigs are picking up and people we're still got the same amount of listeners and the listeners are growing and stuff, and it seems to just be going like it's growing. Do you know what I mean? That's a good thing. But we're ready just to crack on and get some new stuff out. Do you know what I mean?
What is the talk of a second album already? Then, yeah.
Oh, aye, definitely, 100%. But we just don't know when because we're lazy bastards, and sometimes we don't get tunes written when we should be doing that. So, um, aye, there's definitely going to be one. It's just a case of when.
Yeah, good. Yeah, is that what happened with this album? Didn't you write most of it in the studio?
Pretty much, aye. We had some songs going in, but they just weren't really too good. So the one we wrote a few last minute in the studio. And see, to be honest with you, I think that's the best songs on the album, the ones that we wrote last minute, because it was like Influencer, which one of my favorites on the album. That's the first song on the album. I think we should have. We missed a trick not doing that as a single, and Never Be Mine and Universal Credit were all written during the time of recording the album. So it's quite like it's probably the three best songs on the album. Do you know what I mean? It was quite amazing how it was written during the period of recording.
Well, Dream Schemes and Young Teens, what the album's called, and there's a song on it called that. But the single came out in 2021. Did you
Yeah,
always want that to be on the album and be the title track?
yeah. I thought it was just a good album name. Anyway, because it's a good like song name, and because it was a good song as well, we kind of released that ourselves. We never had a record label and stuff, but I think we done it during COVID or something, or just after that. And we never really knew what we were doing as well. We just thought, fuck it, let's just put new music out. We've not got a label or anything. And we just chucked it out, and it never got the recognition it deserved, that song. So that's why I was like, it made sense just to put it on the album and have the album titled that as well. Because it's a great song. It goes down good live. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, so you've released singles and LPs since 2018, but obviously this album came out in 2024. Did you always want to wait a while to bring an album out, or was it just how it worked?
It was just the way it worked with us. We I mean, we're like Shambolics by name and nature. We had a lot of shit going on where like it was like lineup changes and things like that. We had like more. I mean, we still work with Alan McGee. We're on creation management, but he had a label, and it was good for us at the time. It was like a small label that he started up, like a stepping stone label. But then he gave that up during COVID. So like after, well, obviously during COVID, a lot of bands kind of fucked up at that point, and we were kind of on the brink of it as well. And then never had a record label after that. Do you know what I mean? So that's why we put a few singles like that out ourselves. But I think it was just the timing. Like we never had the backing and stuff um that we needed to do an album. And then eventually Scruff of the Neck came along, and thank God for that, because we probably wouldn't be here now if they didn't.
Well, you mentioned there's been a few lineup changes since you started, but how did the like original band come about?
Um, I mean, me and Lewis met when we were just kind of left school. We were like 16-year-old. I think we kind of knew each other for like house parties back in the day, and like drinking in the streets and all that carry on that you got up to at that age. And we kind of knew each other. And then we never like we both. I was he had already played music and he was already like trying it out with bands and stuff. A couple of my mates that were in a band with him, and he was well into the music, but I was only just getting into it. So after a few years, probably about 3 or 4 years after that, we just started jamming together and it just clicked. Do you know what I mean? It just made sense, but it was like an organic thing. I wasn't like searching for band members online or anything like that. It was just someone I knew from my area that was good at what he does. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you two have been like the core members throughout it. Also, would you say you two are like the driving force and visionaries behind the band?
Uh, Probably, yeah. But we write the songs as well. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I take the piss out of Lewis for calling him a fucking lazy bastard. So he's good at when it comes to the songwriting and stuff, but when it comes to fucking, if I ask him to post something on social media, he'll not do any of that shit. He's a lazy fucker. Nah, but yeah, both of us are the driving force of things.
You mentioned as well that you two write the songs, so and you said you wrote most of that album in the studio. But how do the songs come about? Do you write together usually, or do you write apart?
It comes in both ways. There's been songs that we've wrote completely ourselves, and there's songs that we write together as well because we lived together as well. We had a flat together, so we're writing a lot during that period of doing the album and stuff. Um, Because like some of the songs on there, for example, like Daily Dosage, I wrote that myself quite. It was a few years ago. It was an old song that's just sat there and never got anything done, any release. And then Losing Your Mind, he wrote completely by himself. But then a lot of them on the album, like Universal Credit and that, it's been us in a room together writing it. Do you know what I mean? So, and Never Be Mine and things like that. So, aye, together and apart, we both write.
What's it like when you write together and you just bounce off of each other?
Pretty much, aye. It's just like if I've got a melody and he's got lyrics to fit it, or vice versa. Do you know what I mean? But it seems to just click when we're both on the ball. It's just getting us on the ball at times because we're lazy fuckers. You know what I mean?
You mentioned Alan McGee actually signed you like in the early days. How did that come about?
So our manager Jamie Kelly, he's kind of worked beside him for a while. He used to get called Jamie Jam back in the indie scene, and he used to run Bricks and Jam. He used to run some nights in there. So he knew a lot of bands and a lot of people, and he started working with McGee, and then he became a booking agent and a manager and stuff. And he had kind of been pestering McGee for a long time, saying, "Oh, you need to check out this band." And to be honest, he didn't really give a fuck. But then I think the turning point for him was people just kept coming up to Alan McGee and saying, "Have you heard of the Shambolics? Have you heard of the Shambolics? You need to check them out." And it was at a Jerry Cinnamon gig down in London where like some he said McGee explains that like some football casuals came up to him and kept pestering him about the Shams, and he thought that's Jamie's band that I work with every day. People keep messing like talking to me about them. I'm going to need to check them out. Then he just got us to a gig one day to play a. It was what he used to do Q&A sessions, so he got us to play at one of his Q&A sessions before we went on. And he was just like, I think after that he was like, I want to see you at one of your own gigs. And we done a gig in Edinburgh. It was like a sold out headline show. And I think by that point the word had got about that he was interested in us, and we'd kind of told our mates, I make sure you come to this gig and make it mad. So the gig was just like a chaotic gig, and he was sitting there buzzing at the time and then signed us. So it was good. It's a shame that it never worked out with him because obviously it was great because it's Alan McGee's the man in the 90s, do you know what I mean? But it's good that we're still kind of in contact with him and stuff. He oversees some decisions, but it's mostly Jamie that does everything. So Jamie deserves the credit. He's going to be the next Alan McGee.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know, like you said, Alan McGee's been there and seen it all though. So, did he give you tips at the time, or did he just leave you to it?
Um, a wee bit, but because it was just unfortunate timing for us with that label as well, because we only got one single out and then we went into lockdown. And then I think we put one out. I think we only done two with them, and then the label just went under. Um, so it was just unlucky timing with him. But he gave me a few tips. One of them was move to Glasgow because I was thinking about moving to London just to try and crack on with the music more. And he was like, "London's a billionaires' country nowadays. You like move to Glasgow right now. That's probably the best thing for you." And here I'm in Glasgow 4 years later. So I think that's probably the best advice he gave me. Do you know what I mean?
Why does it like help you moving to Glasgow like nowadays?
Well, it just depends where you are and where you're at. I'm from a small town on the coast of Scotland that's really it's a beautiful place to be honest. I'm like I used to take the piss out of it, but when I go back to it, I'm like it's actually quite a nice coastal town. It's on there's beaches and stuff. Do you know what I mean? But it's just there's nothing there for music. Do you know what I mean? You always need to like Glasgow's like the only place in Scotland really that's got like a proper music scene and everybody's involved and I think it just made sense to move and get the head in the game here. Do you know what I mean? I reckon we would have split up if we still were the problems we had with band members leaving and stuff. We probably would have split up if we still lived in Fife. Do you know what I mean? So it made sense moving.
Yeah, definitely. The first song I heard from the band was "When She Goes Home," one of
Oh
the
yeah.
first releases, and
You've
I
been
think
listening to us for a while then, mate.
yeah, I think it's a brilliant song. But could you tell like people your audience were building when you released that?
Aye, 100%. I think that's the first song. I still remember it actually. I went on me and Lewis done an acoustic session on just like see we get like local radio stations, just like and it's volunteers that run it and stuff. There's a good guy, Donald Mackin, who was like just in the Fife music scene. He was running like this local radio show and like it was in the hospital, like a hospital where the radio thing was, and it was we just thought like fuck it. We didn't know what we were doing when we started the band. You know what I mean? So we just used to do random stuff like that, and it definitely helped people like him and that are at the grassroots stage of music. And I remember we done it, and like he put a video up of it, and it went like no viral now, but I got like 300 likes or something, and or 300 shares or something like that. So for us at that time, where no one knew us at all, that was amazing. It was like people just commenting, tagging their pals and stuff, and it was like fucking hell, this is good. We can actually do something with this. It was a realization that we could probably do something with this band if we keep writing tunes like that. Do you know what I mean?
It says demo, but it's kind of, it feels like a finished song, really. So are you ever going to go back to that or just leaving it?
Uh, it's a hard one because you always look back on it thinking, oh, it would be good to remix that or redo it or something. But because it's such an old song and it was like just a good thing that happened when we are starting out, and that's never had a proper release or anything. That song, it was just us starting out and just chucking it on. I think the first thing we put it on was SoundCloud. It wasn't even on Spotify for a wee while, so I think it's good just to leave it how it is. Do you know what I mean?
Is there any like talk of any? I said a second album, but if you talked about writing it yet, or if you already got the songs?
I think we're only just starting. We had a year where it was like, for some reason, last year we just wrote no fucking songs. Maybe we got one or two, but we just done fuck all pretty much. But again, it was like lineup changes and stuff going on. So like we had loads of other stuff to worry about. But now the tunes are coming. Do you know what I mean? Like we've had a good last few weeks there where we've been really productive, and it's like finally it's flowing now. So we're getting shit done now. It's going to be an
Yeah, good.
exciting year.
Well, you said last year you didn't write any songs. Was that like a writer's block, or have you got to be inspired to write, or was it just a year off?
I think I think both. I think writer's block and just general lazy bastards. You know what I mean? But I think we had a bit, like I say, there was loads of stuff going on with the band, with people leaving. Obviously, when someone leaves, you have to get someone else in. You have to go over the set a million times, and there was personal stuff going on with both of their lives and stuff. So I think it was just a year where nothing got done, but finally stuff's moving forward, so it's looking good.
You mentioned about when she goes home that it got like 300 shares and it was a big thing for you at the time. I like asking new bands like how important is social media for you like nowadays as a new band?
It is definitely important, but I do think, I mean, maybe I'm the wrong one here because I always get told by like the label and everything, and I know as well that we should be posting on things like TikTok and stuff more, but I just cannot be bothered with it. Do you know what I mean? I think the bands get too hooked on content where it's like they're releasing shit music. But then again, some of them's getting heard and they're getting themselves out there and they're selling out gigs because they're so focused on putting content out there and getting followers. But don't know. I think there's got to be a balance. Like, if you're going to write good music, it's going to get seen. If you're going to make a million videos and put all your effort into that, but the music's not great, you will get seen. But at the end of the day, you're releasing shit music. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not going to name any names, but I just think that like folk that go overboard on TikTok and stuff, I think you've got to keep a balance. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I definitely agree. Well, it's a hard one, isn't it? Because, like you say, you can release shit music, put loads out, and it'll still get seen. But it's like you've got to consistently put stuff out to be seen, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. It's a mad thing nowadays, and TikTok is a cool tool if it's used correctly and stuff. But it's 5 minutes of fame as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like you've got to you've got to make good music to still have a career. Do you know what I mean? Even if you have that 5 minutes of fame on TikTok, so you've got to have a balance.
Yeah, you see that a lot actually, where there'll be like a song on TikTok, it'll blow someone up, and then you never hear it from them again.
I know. I was actually thinking about a guy the other day. Remember that packs and potions, the Scouse guy,
Yeah,
Scouse
yeah, yeah.
rapper, gonna mix these packs and potions. I've never heard of that guy since. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I just wanted to talk about like with the social media when you had the album out. You had I'm a big Still Game fan, and you had Ford Jack from a Still Game like promoting it. How did that
yeah,
come
yeah.
about?
So we were at Kyle Faulkner's from The View. Has got like a villa called La Sierra Casa. He does like songwriting camps and stuff. And we went to their first ever one, me and Lewis. And it wasn't even like now, it's a big studio and there's about 1 million people that go and like a lot of people go out there and stuff and it looks really cool now. I've only been when they first started it, but there wasn't a lot of us, but it was an amazing vibe. It was really good. And so that started snowballing and it got our label boss Mark out there. And then Mark was like, "Oh, I'm seeing like a guy called Ford Kiernan's out there." And we are like, "Fucking hell, that's fucking Ford for Still Game. We love Still Game. Like, get him to do a promo video for us." So I was like a couple of weeks before the album. I think maybe it was the week of the album getting announced or something like that. And we got Mark to get that video. And fair play to him, he absolutely smashed that video. But aye, and then he came to our gigs and stuff. And I bumped in. I live pretty close to him in Glasgow, so I bumped into him a few times walking the dog and stuff. So it was amazing. I love Still Game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's quality in it.
Yeah, yeah, it's so good. That was a high for us.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Do you like? Do you still obviously go back to your Scottish roots because like still game and then the Universal Credit video was like that scene out of Train Spotting, so it's got a rich history out in Scotland, and you kind of bringing it through with your music.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. It would kind of try to wear it on our sleeves that we're Scottish as well. I love being Scottish. You know what I mean? I think we're a funny bunch. We know that we're shit at a lot of things, especially football, but we just get on. We just get on with it. Do you know what I mean? And there's no banter like Scottish banter. I think. No
Yeah,
offense, by the way.
no worries. So we've mentioned that you've hopefully some singles come in and a new album in the future. What else can you tell us about the future of the band? Is there anything else?
um, I'm not too sure. It's just we're on a good roll now, and stuff's like there's just a good vibe around us now, and finally, because there's been a few rough patches, but it's just we're going to keep cracking on. We've got this UK tour in October. That's looking like it's going to go down well. Glasgow's going to be sold out in the next few days. That's going to be an unreal gig, and then we're going to start stepping it up. I think maybe announce some bigger gigs for next year.
What is that? Just have you had talks about that, or is it just hope at the minute?
Hope probably. I'm going to have the talk. So, but aye, I think we will.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah, just to finish off, what's your like aim with the band? Is there a goal, or you just take it as it comes?
Um, Kind of taking it as it comes, but obviously there is goals in that as well. We want to be able to do this full time. We want to be selling out massive gigs everywhere. Do you know what I mean? I want to eventually tour Europe, tour America, become really big in our homeland in Scotland and the UK, obviously. Aye, we're just going to reach for the stars. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
The
brilliant. Yeah.
highest we can shoot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you for joining me. Good luck with the UK shows and the Glasgow show. And
Thank you, my man.
I look forward to hearing any new music in the future.
No worries, my man. And if you want to come to any of the shows, just give me a shout and we'll sort you out.
Oh, nice one. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Nice one.
No worries, my man. Cheers for having me on.
Cheers. Thank you for coming on. See you in a bit.
Cheers, my man.